Welcome. You tuned into another episode of CrossTalk. It's been a while since we have done an episode of CrossTalk, but today's segment is coming to you from Hanson Town Hall. We are in the Select Board room, and we are joined, our guest is Lisa Green. She is the town administrator. This is, I want to say, the last time we had a conversation with you, it was a municipal focus.
Yes.
And we were talking about the MBTA Communities Act and the town meeting that was going to be taking place.
Yes.
So the thought now is to talk, catch people up in regards to the Springtown meeting, all the ramifications and what we got ahead. So how are you doing on this fine day?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's exciting to be here talking with you today. And, you know, basically updating residents on the MBTA communities, I don't know, I guess challenge would be the word that we would call it. You know, the state has made it clear that municipalities that did not adopt the MBTA communities and create a district circulated around the community rail station, they've made it clear that the Attorney General will file suit against the towns, the municipalities that did not adopt it. So we have now been recognized by the state as being on the list of communities that have not adopted it. And there's just a few of us. There's not, the majority of the communities have adopted it. Basically, we are considered compliant until December 31. Come January 1, we will no longer be considered compliant. And at that point, the Attorney General can file suit at any time against us. I have gained some knowledge, some information regarding the town of Milton. You know, there was a question of the legal fees on this because we are going to have to hire outside counsel to defend us against this lawsuit. Because it is a lawsuit that is going all the way up to the Supreme Judicial Court of Massachusetts. So we will need counsel that has expertise in that area, as well as some expertise in state statutes and things like that. So the town of Milton is the first town that has a lawsuit filed because they're part of the MBTA, the subway system. They were out of compliance earlier than the towns that are considered on the commuter rail system. So their suit the suit has been filed against them. They have brought on counsel. It is a law firm out of Boston, Goodwin and Proctor. The amount of the legal cost is staggering. And I don't believe people really understood the ramifications behind this. The town of Milton is paying $275,000 to defend themselves against this lawsuit, just to give people an idea. There are some developments on it, though. The Supreme Judicial Court, this is expected to be argued in October. I don't have the exact date yet. So a few things could happen on this. And speaking of a lawyer, this is just my thought behind it. The Supreme Judicial Court could put a stay on the Attorney General from filing suit against the other communities until they have made a decision on this based on the oral arguments, which means as of January 2, there might be a restriction on the Attorney General filing suit. Or they may not do any of that. They may just wait to render a decision on the legality of the law, the constitutionality of the law. And they may just allow the Attorney General to move forward as they had planned. At which time we will need to find funding for legal counsel to be ready to defend us.
What's the discussion these days in regards of reconsidering whether or not the town should adopt an overlay district for the MBTA Communities Act? Is there any appetite whether it's certain committees, whether it's the select board, the planning board, or is it town meeting has voted accordingly and we're just going to go with that decision?
So the planning board did meet in an open meeting and had a discussion on it, and they did vote to not move forward with reintroducing it at the October special town meeting. What that means is it now is placed in the court of the select board to consider, and at this time they have not considered placing it in the October special town meeting warrant. It is now closed. And I think, regarding those decisions, there's uncertainty of where the law is going in the next few months. So, what we may need to do is plan for our May town meeting, maybe to reintroduce, put out some more information regarding the law, maybe have someone from the Attorney General's office or the MBTA come in and really do a questions and answers, provide more information. I think the folks that came to the May town meeting, there was a lot of misinformation out there, and there was really focus on one area of the law, of what the law said, and it really was focused around that 750 units that the law says that we could potentially build in town, but realistically that would never happen. But when you do look at that, a lot of the land around the commuter rail is privately owned. So if those private owners decide to sell it to a developer, they could very well come in and put in applications to build multiple units. So that possibility is already out there because that's privately owned land. The MBTA communities would have given us some level of control over where the units went and basically how many could go in logically. And a lot of the municipalities have those same amounts, 750, because they based it on a basic formula they put across the board. But realistically, that type of development would not happen because we don't have the infrastructure to support that type of development. But what it does do now is it really puts in jeopardy a number of grants, millions of dollars in grants. The library grant that there was a lot of work put into, a lot of preparation, compiling of documents and things like that the library director, myself, our town accountant, our town planner, it was a team effort to compile the application and submit it, only to find out now that there is legislation out there that finds communities that have not adopted the MBTA communities ineligible for that type of a grant. So that puts in jeopardy possibly a renovated, expanded, or new library building. It also throws wrenches into grants that we applied for through the One Stop program. We were granted or awarded the grants. We have that work done, but now we're not eligible to apply for other grants to now do the work that all the planning and engineering that we did through grants, like sidewalks over at the MBTA Main Street, the Hawks Ave location. We were awarded a brownfields grant to have a brownfields assessment on that through a licensed site professional. And based on what they found, they did find some contamination that exceed the levels of DEP. So now we're required to report this to the DEP. We did submit an application for a grant for cleanup. But again, that's in jeopardy now because there are boxes to say, are you compliant with the MBTA? As of December 31st, we're not. So it depends on when they actually award the grants. But if they don't, now the town is on the hook to clean that up. So, yeah.
So my question to you is what about any previous grants that were awarded? Is there any clawback or provisions that when you receive those grants, I think there's a provision that the town doesn't have to pay those back, but because of the lack of compliance with the MBTA Communities Act, is there a possibility that the state is going to expect payback of any particular grants?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Not at this time. Fortunately, the grants that we've begun the projects. So, mainly if we did not begin the project, there could have been a possibility of a clawback from that grant, but we've begun all the projects and we've begun paying the vendors for doing some of the work. So those grants are all secured, fortunately.
Okay. How has the town been doing since the May town meeting? We're now in fiscal 25. Any effects from the town meeting and what the voters decided when it came to funding for fiscal 25?
Yes. So during the May town meeting, there were, due to budget constraints, there were several cuts in some departments and reduction of hours of personnel in that budget. There was also an override for the schools to fund the delta between the 5% and the 7.68 that they proposed to the town. Town meeting voted not to pursue the override, but they did vote to adopt the budget as presented with the reduction of hours for certain departments. There were some amendments made to use other sources of funding to supplement and restore those positions to the full hours. However, it was all voted down. So we've been working with the personnel who are impacted by those reduction of hours to implement all of that, and it's been very challenging. I mean, full-time jobs that had their hours cut. I mean, those are very important positions in the town. And with the cut of hours, they're not able to keep up with the demand of the workload. I mean, we're a town of almost 11,000 population. So the demand for the services is higher. Health and human services, conservation services. Those demands are higher, and yet we've had to cut back on the hours because of the budget constraints.
Where have you seen, what departments have been hit hardest? Are you able to enlighten the viewers as to what departments are probably having longer wait times, or as far as billing for certain things or providing assistance?
Well, yeah, Board of Health is one of the hardest hit. The health agent does food inspections. He assists when we have any type of domestic issues that may be hoarding or animals or anything like that. He does water sampling. That all require, I mean, this is safety to people as far as, food being safe to eat, water being safe to swim in and drink. He handles a lot of that, and if his hours are reduced, then there's a lot of those things he cannot get to. Transfer station stickers were due to run out June 30th, so everyone needed new transfer station stickers July 1. That's when the implementation of the reduction in hours went into effect. So we had other town departments who did help out with transfer station stickers to make sure that everyone who came in were able to get their stickers, because the reduction in hours caused the office to be closed when when it's normally opened. Conservation again with conservation agent, wetlands issue, water issues again, our ponds, things like that. They're having a very difficult time with meeting those demands. And then the other departments that have reduction in hours as well. People expect when they come to town hall that they're going to be met with a person on the other side of the counter. And a lot of times those there's no one there. They have to come back or they have to do things online because that person-to-person interaction is not there anymore because of the budget constraints.
I believe that there is a October town meeting that has been scheduled. What are some of the articles that town meeting will look to tackle?
Well, the health agent and the conservation agent, their boards have placed articles to restore funding for those two positions to bring them back to the full-time status. We will also, there will be, there's a number of articles on there for some capital items. There will be an article on there for ARPA. We have applied for ARPA funding for a number of projects. And even though the town meeting vote's not required to appropriate the ARPA money, it is required to approve the town applying for ARPA. The food pantry upgrades is one that we have. An additional Class 5 ambulance for the fire department is another one that we put, and repairing and rebuilding catch basins in town under stormwater and infrastructure. Very important to make sure that all that water goes where it's supposed to be, because if they're blocked or not working properly, it causes the puddling on the streets and things like that. So very important projects, and the Pratt Place project will be, actually that was already approved at the May town meeting, but we will be submitting the application for funding for that, for the actual construction of that project.
Now, is there a discussion pending, whether at town meeting or in the near future, in regards to upgrades to the Hanson Fire Department?
There will be, I believe they are holding an open house. I'll have to just double check the calendar on that. To look at, they've had a feasibility study, so they are holding an open house so people can view the feasibility study and see where the future of the fire department holds. I toured the fire department and toured the upstairs where a lot of the firefighters sleep at night. And you just, it's an attic, basically. And then the staircase that leads downstairs is very, very narrow. So in the middle of the night when a fire alarm goes off and they all have to get up, jump out of bed, and then go down those stairs, it's very narrow. So they laugh about it. If someone slips and falls, they all fall, they all go down. And it can be funny, but it won't be funny the day that someone gets hurt. So those are some of the updating and renovations that they are looking at. They're really needed. People sleeping in an attic is just not a way for our firefighters to rest.
Do we have a date for the town meeting?
It's October 7th, Monday, October 7th. Special town meeting at 6:30 at the Hanson Middle School.
Okay. Do we have anything in closing? I think before we, in this portion, I know we have a car show coming up.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we have our Great Pumpkin Classic Car Show, Halloween-themed car show, coming up October 13th at the Whitman Hanson Middle School. I'm sorry, the Whitman Hanson High School. This is our 6th car show this year. It continues to grow every year. All the money is raised that goes to the Dollars to Scholars Fund, and people just have a blast at it. We've been really lucky the last 2 years and had great weather, and people have had a lot of fun. We hear nothing but great reviews about how much fun people had. They enjoy seeing the cars that are decorated in Halloween. It's really a great community event. So October 13th at the Whitman Hanson High School. And Michael Ganshert, the assistant town clerk in Whitman, is the president of Dollars for Scholars. And if anybody has any information or is looking for information, they can contact me at lgreen14@hotmail.com.
Interesting enough, I think we have, the WHCA has covered past car shows, that particular car show. So if anybody wants to view them, you can go to our YouTube channel, WHCA's YouTube channel, to check out past coverage. And I believe one of our production team who is behind the cameras today might have been on microphone, and I'm talking about the one and only Paul Watson, who is guilty. Anything else in closing that you want to do we want to touch upon before we say goodbye?
So this is my opportunity to maybe embarrass Mr. Tachi, but we actually went to North Junior High in Brockton back in 78, 79, and did not know that until I was just looking through our North Junior High yearbook and happened to see the name Kevin Tachi, and I said, geez, was that you? And he said, yes, it was. So here we are, what, 40 plus years later,
yeah.
And we're kind of circling back around in these capacities, and just what a small world it is.
Well, it was kind of funny because you actually sent me a message and said, hey, I'm looking through a yearbook, and I said, did you go to? I'm like, who wants to know?
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to, back then, it was a junior high model, where today it's known as a middle school model.
Yep.
And I think they expanded from, instead of it being grade 7 and 8, which was what North Junior High was,
Yep.
it's these days, it could be 5, 6, 7, 8, or it could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It varies depending on the community. Yeah, it varies.
Yeah.
But yeah, those were simpler times.
Very simple times.
Back then.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just funny how we've come back in touch, all these years later.
Here we are, we're grown. Anything you want to say in closing to the viewers of CrossTalk in regards to upcoming events and how they can stay informed when it comes to how things are going with the town of Hanson, town meeting, and other municipal events?
So, residents are always welcome at the town hall. Always welcome. Anytime they have a question or need clarification or just want to talk about an issue, they can certainly come to the town administrator's office. My door is always open. They can come to any open meetings. The select board meetings are open. They're always advertised on our web page. We do have our Facebook page. We advertise them. So, residents can reach out to any one of us for any additional information. Always here to help people understand some things they may not understand or need more information on. We have Hanson Day coming up in September. I believe it's September 23rd, but I'll double check that date. That's a great community event where businesses in Hanson and organizations and families come together to learn and just enjoy a day. So that is coming up as well. Great community event. And again, Town Hall is open to anybody who wants to come in and have some more information. And our meetings, our open meetings are, again, they're full of information. The select board, again, is always willing to answer questions and provide information. So we want to be transparent, and we just want to let people know, what their local government is doing to keep up the services for them.
Well, we want to thank you very much again for sitting down with us. We'll stay in touch, and as often as you're available to kind of provide updates, we'd love to come back and have more conversations.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me today. It's an honor.
And we want to thank you for tuning into a program like this. Again, the idea of it is to provide you information that's going on within the two communities that we serve. Again, you've been tuned in to CrossTalk, and until our next conversation, have a great day.